Welcome back to Third Win Thursdays. I'm Scott Hibbard, and I'm joined by John and Eric, partners at TWG. It's June 8th, 2023, and this is Third Win Thursdays number 12. Welcome back, gents.
Guys, what a week. What a week in sports. Are you kidding me? I mean, I can't wait to dive in because this has been one of the most insane weeks in sports. Maybe this decade.
It's been pretty crazy. For all the viewers out there, I just want to say Scott usually has us gives us some homework over the weekend, early in the week. Says, hey, anything you guys want to talk about, throw me some articles. I'll figure out what the best things for us to talk about on Third Win Thursday. This week, we didn't even talk about it. We knew what we were getting into today.
Exactly. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. Number one, the Messi effect.
Eric, you should read this one. This is your boy.
Go ahead.
The Messi effect. Inter Miami ticket prices jump 1,000% after Messi joins MLS. And the funniest part is most of the games that were bought early on, people think he's going there like next week. I do not think he's going to be playing in DC in July. So I'll warn you now, don't buy those $500 tickets yet. But everybody, Lionel Messi, the GOAT, is coming to the United States. I'll be a little bit honest. I'm a little sad. I was kind of hoping, despite how crazy Barcelona is, that he'd get one last hurrah back at the Camp Nou, and maybe that'd be his last year and his last hurrah in Europe, and then he'd dance off into the sunset. But the man got his World Cup. He's completed football, and I literally, where my parents used to live in Fort Lauderdale in the Sunny Isles area, the building that's been being constructed for years, they made a huge announcement when Messi bought 5 levels of it about 6 years ago. So it was always coming to Miami. It was always a matter of time. And I know that his wife and his family are probably going to be very happy to be enjoying the beaches of Hollywood, Florida from now on.
I want to talk about this, though, Eric. Is this just one of the greatest business deals ever, or is this legitimately going to change soccer in the United States? Because we've seen this before. We've seen this movie before, right? David Beckham was around the same age when he moved to LA, right? Pele, way back in the day, in the 70s, came and played in the U.S. up in New York. And everyone's like, it's going to change soccer forever. It's going to change soccer in the U.S. forever. Did not change soccer in the U.S. forever. So is Messi different? Is it truly going to lift up the MLS in the way that we think it could? Or is it kind of going to look more like the Beckham effect, which it was great for a year and then everybody kind of moved on?
The history of the MLS, 96, great year to be born, great year for a league to launch. That was the MLS up until, you could say, the first version of it. Beckham came and it kind of became a little bit more glitz and glamour, kind of stalled out a little bit, but there was that little peak. Messi's going to absolutely change the game. And this is no bias at all. He is going to sell out every stadium. There is going to be an activation and a week-long lead up to him going to every single city in America. There's going to be opportunities for him to be plugged into other sports in the United States. I don't think he's going to be playing anytime soon, but he might be sitting courtside of the Heat Game 4 in a couple of nights. So who knows? But I'm convinced that Messi is going to catapult soccer into the F1 ranges of people watched a Netflix documentary and fell in love. People all think they're golfers now because they watched Full Swing or they heard what LIV was. This is going to make the casual soccer fan who might know about the U.S. women's team or the World Cup when they come around, it's going to really open their eyes and get a lot of attention coming in. And something else this is going to change is, again, the fact that Messi is getting revenue share of Apple's deal with the MLS. Whatever percentage they're giving him, I heard someone saying this on a podcast, and I'll steal it. What are they going to give Haaland when he wants to come? What are they going to give Mbappe when he wants to come to the U.S.? And these new revenue share opportunities, Messi turning down $1 billion in Saudi Arabia. It's interesting to see what precedent it's setting for the future of money in sports.
See, that's what I think the biggest difference is, Eric. this time around, Apple TV, right, is distributing all of MLS's games. Whereas back in the day, MLS did not have this type of distribution. They now have the biggest company in the world incentivized to drive, viewership and drive, fandom. And then they have one of the I'm going to say it, the greatest player of all time, on American soil with the World Cup coming in 2026. This one feels different. And I think they're perhaps when he's done playing at Inter Miami, we'll look back and be like, wow, that was the catalyst to really bring American soccer, at least American professional soccer, to the next level.
And real quick, Scott, not to get too much into the weeds, but like this Inter Miami team could become a super team. Like the MLS has a lot of really crazy rules, but I'm starting to see things now about the names of Luis Suarez, Sergio Busquets, Jordi Alba to pretty much bring Messi's people to him and make him as comfortable as possible, because Joe Smith on Inter Miami is not gonna do the trick for Messi, and he's not gonna do the work Messi needs. So no offense to the guys on Inter Miami currently, but they're talking about creating a super team down there with whatever they can do. So the awareness, the hype, the energy around everything he's gonna be bringing to it is game changing.
Yep, and part of the Apple deal, Eric, and you talked about how Drive to Survive influenced like the rise of F1, is a 6-episode documentary about Messi in the World Cup. So
brilliant. All right. Yeah. I like this deal even better now that I've heard that detail.
Exactly. So there's a lot of growth. Obviously, Inter Miami is currently last in the MLS. So I think the effect might be felt next year. But
this is a hell of a way to kickstart a rebuild, though. I feel like if I'm the Inter Miami GM, I'm feeling pretty good about my chances of rising from the bottom of the table.
Exactly. And to anyone who doesn't know, his debut is scheduled, I think, for the 21st of July. So buy your tickets post that date. There you go.
Pro tip.
All right. And you mentioned Saudi Arabia, Eric. So let's go with some news from over there.
Wait, there was news from Saudi Arabia this week? Oh my God. This is one of the biggest stories, I think, in our career so far, Eric. The PGA Tour and Live Golf agree to alliance, ending golf's bitter fight. In a stunning announcement, the tour, along with the DP World Tour and Saudi Arabia's Sovereign Wealth Fund, said the rivals had to agree to create a new collectively owned for-profit entity. And Eric, this was a stunner. There aren't too many legitimate stunners in the sports world anymore, in the sports business world, because we have our insiders, right? We have Woj, we have Adam Schefter, we've got Twitter. People were legitimately stunned across the sports industry when this came out on Tuesday, if I'm correct, because think of how the PGA was fighting Live previously. Oh, the Saudi Arabian money is tainted. Right, it's blood money, human rights record. We're never going to work with them. But here's the principle, Eric, and I never forget this. Don't look at what people say. Look at what people do. Right? It's all well and good to say we're holier than thou. We would never, accept money from the Saudi Arabian, what is it called, Sovereign Wealth Fund, the PIF. And then you turn around 2 years later and you take the money, you take ungodly amounts of money. And it just goes to show you, right? Like when it's all about the money, right? And honestly, if I'm trying to look at this from the Jay Monahan perspective, he was trying to save the PGA Tour from hundreds of millions of dollars worth of legal fees. And in a way, he was just trying to crush Live. Because now that they're under the same roof, you could argue that he probably just wiped Live off the face of the earth, right? Maybe it'll take some time, but this was the ultimate power move. I mean, look, people are going to hate on it, especially on American soil. They're going to feel a little bit, probably, I don't know, just sick to their stomach that the game of golf is now effectively owned by the Saudi Arabian Sovereign Wealth Fund. But man, what a bombshell this week. And it's going to be a long time, I think, before we see anything this stunning in the sports business.
I just can't wait to see how this all plays out. I mean, I was very anxiously awaiting Rory McIlroy's interview, talking about there might be some team elements here, but I'm not going to be over here doing crazy stuff. And I'm sure you've seen it, John, but I've seen some viral videos going around, and one was of Shooter McGavin putting the ball when Happy Gilmore's fans were coming on tour, and they were just being nice and loud and rowdy, and Shooter was all mad, and everyone's like, this is going to be Rory in the new PGA Tour. But honestly, like what are things going to look like? I'm not one who's sitting here going like, oh, the rules need to stay the same for the PGA. You need to keep the beauty of golf. But like, even when I turn on a live event, I'm kind of just like, all right, there's too much going on here. This is kind of like a joke of a game, and where there might be fun times for cool events. And again, it'll just be so interesting to see how this all plays out, the way that they manage, keeping the status quo, but also bringing in new ideas. Are there going to be more par 3 contests? Are there going to be more team elements? Whatever that might look like, it's interesting. But at the beginning of it, going all the way back to when the news dropped, it still shocks me to think that this hypocrisy is hypocritical of a move was able to be made by powers that be, and it's definitely not going to go over well. It's already not going over well, and we'll see what the ramifications are. And especially another thing I keep thinking about poor old Rory is he's talking about the fines people might have to pay, and it's just making people upset. But I know for sure the next major, they're 100% just going to do PGA guy, live guy, PGA live guy, PGA live guy, and send them off in pairings.
I mean, if the old adage that any publicity is good publicity is true, I mean, you could argue this is among the most publicity the game of golf and professional golf has gotten in a long time, right? One last thing, and then we can move on. But like my general take is that this is a broader trend of like globalization in sports, right? What is almost every big professional, sports league in the U.S. and in North America trying to do? They're trying to expand globally, right? All of the top football leagues in Europe, what are they trying to do? They're trying to expand globally, right? They've kind of run up against their growth limits, domestically. So they're trying to go international. And I guess in a way, this was inevitable. It just feels really nasty right now, given all, where the money is coming from. All of that is to say, though, I mean, the NFL has a bunch of teams expanding to Europe and to South America and to Mexico. And it's like, this is just the trend. That's what's going on, is this globalization of professional sports. Now, will that hold up? Will everyone be able to have success? Remains to be seen. But wow. Good luck to all the golfers out there.
Will every single league be owned by one entity, or no?
The PIF might go and turn around and buy the MLS. Next thing we know, who knows?
All right. So with that being said, I'm going to give some context behind the next few headlines. This is the first one, which is from Fan Nation, a subsidiary of Sports Illustrated, which is Karim Benzema agrees to $321 million deal with Al Ittihad, but Ronaldo will still be the highest paid player in Saudi Arabia for now. And that comes with the announcement from Saudi Arabia that they will be privatizing some of their state-owned football clubs through the PIF, which is the Sovereign Wealth Fund. And the goal is to attract big-name signings like Benzema, who is a Ballon d'Or winner last year. And the aim of this is around their 2030 government plan, which is focused on economic diversification. So in this play specifically, the PIF is now going to own 75% of Al Ittihad, Al Nassr, which is where Ronaldo is, Al Ahly, which is a second tier team, and one other team which is in the first tier of Saudi football. And the whole goal behind this is they're looking to grow their league by $480 million annually and reach a $2.1 billion valuation by 2030. And to give you some context, right now it's valued at $410 million. So that's almost $2 billion in 7 years. So there you go.
I mean, they're essentially trying to do what they did with Liv, which is, get the best names, offer them really great salaries, and bring them over. And we've been joking on the TWG team. John is always waving the flag of the NFL being the most valuable property in the world, which the evidence proves to it. And there's a lot of evidence there. But the Saudis were really trying to tempt that figure in that data when they offered Karim Benzema, $250 million per year contract. They just offered N'Golo Kante, who, I'm a massive fan of N'Golo Kante, World Cup winner, really great player. They offered him $100 million a year. All these other players are getting. There's a lot of players that they're reaching out to that are, Summer Champions League finalists right now who are about to play their game, and they're getting offers, and players all over. So it'll be interesting to see who buys in. And we're also hearing a whole bunch of rumors that are probably just rumors that the MLS is now trying to also get Ronaldo in and create the Messi-Ronaldo rivalry in the United States. But we'll see. It's going to be hard to lure him away from his Saudi project right now. But again, you're seeing this investment, and the business model seems from the outside to be very similar, of bringing in getting the right people, the right players to attract the attention, to make the league more and more enticing, and find ways to sell it globally, like you just said, John.
So first off, Scott, tremendous pronunciations of all those players and teams. That was outstanding. 100%. Second of all, here's the next move. Which American tech company is going to buy the streaming rights to these Saudi American football matches? Right? I mean, because if you think that if the thesis is that people will just watch the best players in the world no matter what league they're in, then why wouldn't Amazon or Apple or Google buy the streaming rights to these matches? Right? So this is fascinating. I mean, when you have $600 billion in a fund, I guess you got to figure out a way to spend all that. And why not buy the best players that you can, right? Just from a purely pragmatic standpoint, right? When you really look at it, I mean, Saudi Arabia, as one of the biggest oil producers in the world, I mean, oil is, whether you like it or not, is the bedrock of the global economy, right? Pretty much you can't run the global economy without oil. So I guess it just took, a reconfiguration of their leadership, of a little bit of a vision to be like, yeah, we can invest in other things, right? I don't care what everybody else thinks of our reputation as a nation, right? We have all of these resources, right? Man, I am fascinated by this. The fact that Benzema is going to be making more than an entire NFL roster in one season, and Ronaldo is going to be making the equivalent of 2 NFL rosters in one season. I just don't know what the future holds. But all in all, globalization again. That's what I mean. Eric, do you see yourself flying out to Saudi Arabia anytime soon to go see Benzema and Ronaldo? I know I don't. But I could see myself at least watching them on the internet through a streaming service.
Yeah, and you're right about that being what's the next step? Because honestly, my dad gave me a call yesterday, and he called me about the Benzema deal, and he was like, because he loves Kareem, he's always been a fan of him, and he was like, honestly, how do I watch this? And I was like, probably piratebay.com or something. Honestly, I'm not sure. I don't know I don't know where to watch it right now.
You got to go to a particular thread on Reddit, okay, and then but that's what I think this is all about.
Yeah.
It's about eventually how do you get the eyeballs on it from an internet streaming perspective, right? And then will people really be upset many years from now over all the human rights issues, or are people so obsessed with football globally that they're like, we just want to watch the best players in the world?
And one more thing to add to that too. It's easy for us, Scott, you're over in the UK right now, but Americans, we always kind of think about history and like globalization, and essentially we can't be the gatekeepers to say what's right or wrong. While I think there's been kind of wrongs done by everybody, and not the point of this show, but it is the idea that the people who have power are going to try to take it, and we'll see how the world responds to it. We saw how the world responded, throughout history to when global powers and when there's that power shift. And we're living through one right now. So again, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Well said.
And to anyone wondering how it's fair, Saudi Arabia does not fall into the UEFA financial fair play rules and the rest. So that's why they can offer these types of contracts. And the last team that is now part of this deal as well is Al Hilal, which is the team that offered Messi the contract in Saudi Arabia. So you see how the money flows. So with that in mind, let's go to something a bit more wholesome. It's still partnerships related, but it's our third win of the week, which is the following, and I'll give some context as well. The EFL, which is the English Football League, which makes up all of the divisions essentially in English football, is partnering with Smart Energy Great Britain, which essentially works with smart meters for electricity in the whole of the UK, and they're trying to increase adoption of these to reduce consumption of electricity throughout the country, and obviously the impact that has on carbon emissions and the rest. So they extended a partnership that this past year included some community activations, exposure to like this type of technology, and essentially awareness and educating people on how this technology can be used. So that's our third win for the week.
Very nice. Again, I've always found this thread, or at least throughout my career, I found this thread as sports and entertainment as the hook to get people to get a message across, to get a cause through, or to educate people, or to empower people, right? I mean, one of the biggest things in marketing is like, how do you get people's attention? How do you hook them, right? And believe me, there's few things in England that hook people more than their local football club, right? So it's no surprise that we're seeing a partnership like this. Really cool, again, 3-win style partnerships that, it used to be sports marketing was a little bit kind of just like, all right, let's just get our logo in front of everybody, right? And like that will get the results we want, just the pure exposure. But now it's more about, yes, we'll get the logo in front of people, but then we'll leave them with something beneficial, right? Leave them with something to take away, something to hopefully improve their lives. So I like it. Appreciate you, Scott, you putting this one on our docket for this week.
Of course, and part of it is also connected to Britain's greater plan to upgrade their energy infrastructure. So it's connected to an institutional level as well. And the cool thing about the EFL teams is that they have club community organizations, and they're the ones leading the outreach efforts. So I think it's something interesting, or an interesting structure that could be adopted by other countries and other clubs around the world. But now we'll shift to you, John, and this week's Coach's Corner. Now I'm gonna make you disappear for a little bit, and then I'll turn you back on so you can share your insights.
All right. So this one's a little bit counterintuitive, but for the Coach's Corner this week, the theme is creating content is not about you. Now, you might be thinking, what do you mean? Like, isn't personal branding all about putting myself out there, putting cool photos up of me, showing off when I accomplish things? And like, all right, to an extent it is. But what we're getting at here is, what does it take to be a great creator online, right? And what I want everybody to think about is how when you're creating something and publishing something, it isn't about you. It's about the value you can add to somebody else, right? The value you can add for others. So ultimately, to get to the point where, you're very viable in terms of marketing, in terms of, a growing audience, you're going to be creating content that is one of three things, or all three things. It's educational, it's inspirational, or it's entertainment, right? And under those three, right, like think about when you're creating, what am I trying to share with others? What value am I trying to add to others? Am I trying to share a lesson that somebody else can use in their life? Am I trying to inspire somebody through, sharing my journey, sharing some of the vulnerable points of my journey and showing how I made it through? Or are you funny? Are you entertaining? Are you someone who, you more are along the lines of making somebody laugh, making somebody's day, right? Trying to lift somebody up, lift somebody's mood through online content. So what I like to think about, and what I want our clients to be thinking about at TWG is, can I get one of three? Can I hit one of these three anytime I post? Can I be entertaining? Can I be inspirational? Or can I be educational? Or can I be all three at once? And if you're all three at once, you're in an elite tier of content creators online, right? You think about some of the most popular creators online, whether it be, Mr. Beast, whether it be, LeBron James, whether it be, Naomi Osaka, Simone Biles, right? Everything is either educational, inspirational, or what did I get there? Educational, inspirational, or entertainment focused, right? And so it's not about you. It's about what you can deliver for others, and a little bit counterintuitive, but the name of the game is creating content that is for others and not just to make yourself look cool or make yourself look like a star. That's what I got for Coach's Corner this week.
Awesome. Thank you, John. And that is, oh, wait, we do have one more thing. Community updates. So there's a couple of them. We'll start with a new client announcement that went out yesterday or 2 days ago. Yesterday, and that is Jared Turner. John, you can give some background.
Yeah, Jared is a college basketball player playing up at Northeastern in Boston. He is a 6'9" rising sophomore forward with a sweet jumper. He hit over 40% of his three-pointers last year as a freshman. He hails from Silver Spring, Maryland, so he's another DMV talent. He and I happen to hail from the same high school, Gonzaga College High School in downtown DC. So we're building that DMV talent pipeline. We're building up our college basketball and our NIL pipeline. We can't wait to see what type of great work and good work that we can do with Jared Turner up at Northeastern.
And I heard you mention his name right there, but the next update is Jeremy Casebeer Year 3 partnership with Fair Harbor launched today.
Yes, sir. His ozone.
Let's go.
Oh,
The Casebeer 2s just dropped, everybody. So This is basically our longest standing partnership at TWG between Jeremy Casebeer and Fair Harbor. He has created a custom pair of Ozone board shorts that are now for sale on Fair Harbor. There's both men's and boys, right? So you can get your matching father-son pair of Jeremy Casebeer Fair Harbor Ozones. And man, the really cool part about this is we really are practicing what we preach with our 3-win sponsorship style of deal. And every purchase of one of these pairs of shorts will plant a tree through One Tree Planted, a nonprofit organization really helping in terms of decarbonization, tree planting, and helping to sustain and steward our planet. So everybody get out there, go buy some Casebeer Ozones while supplies last, right? Because there's only a limited. These are a limited edition pair of shorts, and we got to give a shout out to our good friends at Fair Harbor.
Yep.
Awesome partners now, going on 3 years with Jeremy and Fair Harbor.
Yep, and I'll show some extra love and scroll through so you guys can see the design.
Show those beautiful shorts, Scott. Come on.
All right, here we go. So
Jeremy Casebeer's Instagram for a really cool video of him and his son. They shot while they were down in Rio. Really fun time. Some of the images here. Again, Fair Harbor being a family-owned business by 2 siblings who have been really great with Jeremy and with us, and happy to see this design and this launch come to life again.
there you see the significance for Jeremy and him sharing with his son now. So
Love it.
It's a campaign with meaning for everyone out there. So
that shoot came out amazing. I mean, look at those images, right?
Yep, and here's the One Tree Planted initiative. So
yep, and they're also working with a mangrove reforestation. It's some really awesome stuff. So we'll drop the link on our site. You'll see it on LinkedIn, on Instagram for sure. We'll definitely share a lot about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of good being done with these partnerships, and if you want a meaningful purchase, this is your sign to do so.
Amen.
Let's go. We don't mind selling our clients' products on this show. What why not? Why not? Go get your father, or if you're a dad, go get yourself a pair and get a pair for your son. And you guys can be the coolest father-son pair on the beach all summer long. How about that? How's that for a pitch?
Yeah, that's a
Just
good
in
one.
time for Father's Day.
Awesome.
All right. Anything else, gents?
Another week wrapped up. We'll see what crazy news drops from this time until next Thursday.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
prediction: the NBA champion Denver Nuggets was who we can talk about on next week's show. That 2-1 lead.
I think somebody said it would be a sweep, and the Heat pulled one, baby.
I said 5 games. We're 5 games is still on the table, gentlemen.
All right. We'll see what happens tomorrow night. The Heat are going to call up Messi to be a point guard.
Exactly. I'm sure his stature really helps him out on the court.
Quick and speedy.
All right. Thanks for joining as always. And we'll catch everyone next week. And we hope you enjoyed the show today.
Peace.
Take care, everybody.